Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Adrian. It's day 16 of ZineQuest, and I'm going to talk about something that makes me sad because one of my favourite Kickstarters last year was Etherdark, and this is from the great mind of Etherdark, and it's really, really sad to see this Kickstarter just not getting any momentum. So here we are, day 16. Going to give this one a push. This is all about scrolls and taking scrolls from being just you have a scroll of lightning bolt to talking about what it's made of, looking at the random spells. There's even rules in here for actually creating scrolls itself, and I'd say it does feel very much like it is a Shadowdark focus because it does talk about 5th tier spells, but I think you could easily convert this to old school essentials. The random tables in here you could very easily convert into 5th edition and things like that. It's just a ton of random stuff in it. So let me just get you straight over to the Kickstarter page, and here we have Enjoy Scrolls, rich descriptions of scrolls, Shadowdark, and other fantasy role-playing games. So it is funded, but it's sadly, so it's $250 funding goal, and we are sat at $379. 77 backers, because this is quite cheap actually, so you know it's quite a good back account. 11 days to go at time of recording. There is a video in it that will explain it in a little bit more detail. Now I don't know whether it's the white and pink and on the black background that just isn't drawing any attention to it. I generally don't know, or you know, a crowd attracts a crowd. But this is a fantastic project. There are some quick starter rules that we can go through towards the end. Mike has actually sent me the full version of this. He sent it to me. It's about a week ago, somewhere around there. And I was like, it's actually amazing what's in it. But sadly, I can't show it. But I will show you what he has made available. So let's just get into the story. So he was at an exhibit of Korean artifact, and he saw a jade book bestowing a horrific title upon a Queen Senjong, mispronounced, and immediately knew that my games had been lacking, and they haven't had something like this in them. Figuring that other people might be likewise, he made this scene. So here's the download. So you can just download here. It's about 15 pages of the 36-page scene, so it'll just give you an idea. So, is it just scrolls? Just scrolls? Scrolls are crafted by wizards to contain a raw essence of literal magic. The idea that something that's powerful is usually described a little more than a roll of paper with a spell name is a travesty. And he's right. It doesn't give you anything other than, say, here's a scroll of lightning bolt, here's a scroll of fireball. Just doesn't excite you descriptively like it should do. So also, it's not just scrolls. In addition to 100 one-line descriptions of scrolls, there are 420 one-liner descriptions that other things that wizards might like to repair, including codices, tablets, and quipus. So is that all? Enjoy scrolls. Add some light rules to the crafting rules for Shadowdark, but yeah, basically it is just scrolls. I'm proud of my work and I think you'll enjoy it too, but enjoying scrolls is just a collection of tables to give you more diverse descriptions. There's actually more to it than that. We do have some additional sort of rules and things towards the end of it. So let me just show you the rewards before we get into the book so we can just see how much it's going to cost. So this is why, another reason probably why it's not, making a huge amount of funding based on the amount of backers, because it's just $3. You can get the PDF for just $3. You want the physical zine and the PDF, $8. So there's only 2 pledge levels, so it is nice and simple. Right, as promised, let's just jump over and have a look at the zine itself, which, say, if you're not a fan of pink, black, and white, you might not like the cover art. So I don't know whether this is something that pulls people away. I genuinely don't know, but what's contained in here is absolutely ace. So let's just give you an idea. So this is the preview copy that I can show you, but it does nicely include the contents. Okay, so we've got tables. So initially you can roll a d10, so whether it's going to be a scroll, folded codex, a bound codex, a tablet, a quipu, or an unusual object. You'll then jump across. Obviously the scroll is hyperlinked because that's all that's in here. So I have looked at the other table. Says what's it, 520 lines of random stuff to pick from. You can then roll 2d6, and then that'll give you a gauge of the spell tier. Obviously, if you're going to do this for 5th edition, which I think you could do quite easily, you could just do this, just roll on a d10, really, and then go, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and then just don't do any scrolls over 10th level. Well, it depends on you know, what level you want to play with the characters. But here are the additional rules and setting details. So it's got some rules, and it's talking about using scrolls, why scrolls exist. So this is sort of background lore. But then got rules on crafting scrolls. And there's 4 different types. I'm not going to spoil, but it will depend on whether you know the spell, how well you know the spell, whether you've heard of the spell and things like that. So it's got a little bit of an additional rule in there. And then the cost as well. That is a random cost for the materials is actually included in here. But we should probably just go over and look at the scroll. So it's just going to talk about, you know, a little bit of what is a scroll in detail. So it's a coiled sheet and roll to reveal writing within. So if you are going to roll a tier 1 spell, you would roll, so this is ignoring the spell at this moment in time. This is just looking at, it's a scroll of whatever, and it is, so if you roll a 10, a dull yellow paper with glyphs of vibrant green. So it's just going to give you a bit more interesting stuff. And then we've got tier 2 spell, so you might end up, we'll just keep that 10. Rich blue paper with white, chalk white lettering, and a tier 3 spell would be a pale vellum with ideograms in golden ink. Why am I picking words I can't read? Tier 4, so a Grimlow fur with glyphs sewn with threads of gold. And then tier 5, so a salamander parchment with the still smouldering writing. So it's just going to bring those scrolls to life and make it a little bit more interesting when you hand them to the players. But again, it's got tablets in here. And do we cover, is it all 5 of the tablets? Yes, it is in here. So again, let's just go, well, let's just pick number 10. So we've got a blackened pine with glyphs cut through to the char. And we're, so tier 2, pale green pottery with white glyphs, pale green ceramics with black runes. We've got onyx neatly cut sigils painted with a gleaming white. And then finally at tier 5, if we're going for the tablet, elegantly crafted emerald with deeply layered patterns. So we'll just go back to the start and say this is going to cover, so you've got codices, you know, folded ones, bound ones. We've got a quipus, which I don't know what it is. I do now. And then we've got unusual objects that's going to be coming in. Obviously, you're still going to need to pick the spell, or the game might even, you know, if it's pre-written adventure, it will still have a spell in there. So you just, you know, all you got to do, pick the spell based on the tier, but it's going to give you a lot more interest into scriptures. There are plenty of books and zines that I think everyone has seen for magic items that, you know, not only describe the magic items, but yeah, we get a lot out of a sort of, you know, the wandering monk, something along those lines. It just gives an additional bit of flavour to the sword and the background. And you're going to be able to do this with scrolls, you know, codexes and tablets and things. I say it's just, and the fact it's $3 or $8, which it's basically nothing. I think everyone that watches this video should go and back this, because it is going to make everyone that's playing your wizards or anyone else that can access a scroll, they're going to enjoy it, and they're going to thank you for bothering to actually give it a little bit more of a sort of physical description. So I'm going to leave it there. So this has been day 16 for ZineQuest. Oh, one final plug, if they are taking late pledges, you might want to go back Etherdark. Etherdark, I say, it's Shadowdark in space, but this is all your rules for creating spaceships from scrap. But this is all the rules for creating spaceships from scratch, planets, trade. Good enough to remember the classic game Elite. It's going to allow you to do that. And if you're then going to combine it with a review that's coming out very soon, which is the new edition of Dark Space on my main channel, these two zines and books combine perfectly. That's enough of a pitch for something else that isn't in ZineQuest, so sorry I got a little bit sidetracked. So I'll be back tomorrow for day 17 of ZineQuest. We're heading on towards the end of this, so what we've got another 11 projects to talk about, and then that'll be the end of this. So if you're enjoying the series, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Thanks for watching.